name is Goldie. I'm here at the Henry Matisse Cutouts exhibition here at the Tate Modern. I cannot wait to see this. When you talk about art and the daddy of them all, it's got to be Henry Matisse. This is my personal selection of my favourite cutouts of Matisse. Do you know how far ahead this piece is? You know, as a graffiti writer and as an artist, if you just come in and look at this for a second, right, this is fascinating. Seeing it in a magazine and seeing pictures of it, so I was like, yeah, the bees, yeah, cool. But when you look at it in real life, this guy not only decided to have vision, but he had movement, he had video. And you have these bees in flight, and they come up and they move. When you come over here, and you look at them, and there's this wonderful flight path. And if I take that flight path and I was to repeat this picture 3 times and just have it going around in a circle, like a kaleidoscope, it would be motion. Not only did he create, he starts to get motion, you know? He actually manages to splice and edit in his own head. Now, for me, that's what you call wild style. As a graffiti writer, I'd say that's wild style. All of that wonderful pollination. It's like an overview camera walking over from a bee's nest, and all these bees looking at these bees on their flight path of their daily routine. Constant daily routine. And they're just going there and they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Pollinating all of these wonderful colours. And in that chaos of nature, there is this method to the madness. I mean, Matisse was a naturalist of beyond all measure, right? When the paintbrush came out, right? This was the tool that everyone was going to use. Everybody was going to use the paintbrush. And all of a sudden, Matisse comes along and decides, let me just use a pair of scissors and cut everything out. In comparison, you'd say that would be what a graffiti writer, when the aerosol can came along, all of a sudden someone had done graffiti with an aerosol can. Barbaric. Cannot be done. Burn them. Witches. You know, you could almost hear them screaming the minute he started the first cut into the paper. As an artist, you're sitting there waiting for paint to dry. He didn't have to wait for any of that. He just cut it, put it there, and then he could move it. For me, when I first saw it, it's called Two Dancers. It doesn't say that to me at all. It says mankind, the burden of life, and you throw in the universe up there. You've got this effeminate female character, which is the planet for me, which is the sun and the sky, right there. And I think that's what it says to me when I look at that. He's trying lots of little ideas, lots of little tiny ideas that he's cutting out these things in shapes. And this is going to be the catalyst for a much bigger idea. Is it chaos or is it organised madness? Or is it organised chaos? Chaotic madness? No, it's very, very, very organised. To be able to place pink against orange and against green and black against orange and pink against black and pink against blue, graffiti writers are very much the same. We place colours against each other. It's very, very clever how he's managed to do that. Matisse's own doctor said that Matisse would need to wear sunglasses in his studio because the amount of colour might be dangerous for him, I guess. Matisse said he was cutting into colour. You know, some edges he would leave rough, like this one here, and it's straight. But he's cutting into it and overlapping it. It could almost be, you know, the advertisement for, come to the Caribbean, have a great holiday. You know, it's like this great calypso cannon exploding in it. I mean, you can't beat that. Well, I mean, you see this section here, I mean, this is a graffiti wire here. I mean, this section here, you've got this bubblegum pink against this powder pink against this baby pink. That is a graffiti artist. If he had those colours, he's got no problem. As long as he's got a bit of black to do his outline, he's away. But he makes it work. I mean, he balances. There's two oranges in the middle here. He has the jugs, these two pinks here. He has these two blues here. And he has this black weighing in with a blue there and a bit of blue. I mean, it's so balanced. And that is a real artist that can do that. You know, the one thing that's fascinating that you won't see on camera, the amount of cutting and pasting within the blue area of the figure. It's almost as if this geometry of the human body has been looked at. The dissecting of these sections of muscle in his own way, these strips of joint, almost like they were muscle tissue that's all been cut and pasted together. You know, you see these exhibitions where someone takes the skin off the human body and they see all of these forms and movements that we've never seen before. It's exactly what it looks like when you're seeing it. This was his colour. You know, this was Matisse's colour. This was the colour that made him feel safe. This is the colour that made him feel at ease. This was his resonance. This is that, that was his hum. It's like a sound a musician finds, that the note within the melancholy, it's that note, or that chord, just right there. That note, yes. It just makes you feel at peace with yourself. It vibrates so much that it stays still. It's what I call the hummingbird effect. And I think this was his hummingbird. That beautiful, vibrant blue, but at peace, very linear. It's actually moving. There's a lot of movement going on. There's a lot of depth and a lot of movement. That's what's so amazing when you're standing in front of the art. This space, this art, and me. And I'm seeing it with my eyes. And it's beautiful. Icarus, you know, he flew too close to the sun. It would get burnt. You know, you're looking at those stars. Are they burning out? Are they just begun? Are we getting to our hottest point? Are they fading out? As artists, we always question that. Are we just beginning? Are we just burning? Are we burning out? Are we getting to our hottest point? Are we going to get to the very pinnacle of what we want to achieve as an artist? As far as symbolism concerned, he's on fire. His heart's on fire. There was a universe of stars. There was him as this figure floating in this blackness. I really love the fact he's just pinning these stars on. Just as raw as you like. He's got pins sticking in there. Brilliant. He's got the heart pinned in there. It's not even cut and paste. It's cut and pin. It represents us. Always trying to invent. We're trying to, you know, we want to go and land on Mars next week with a rover. We just need to find out what's behind the rock. You know, and I think he, as an artist, he did that with cutouts. Well, I haven't got the fuel to get to the moon, but I've got a pair of scissors and some coloured paper. Let me try and work around it that way. And I mean, isn't that what artists are? Isn't that what passion is? Well, I want to go to the moon, so let me close my eyes and build a rocket in my head, fly there, yeah, landed, yeah, I'm there, I'm back, right, I'm open my eyes, there I am, right. How do I make that right? Let me make that a picture so you can see it. And that's what the imagination, this is what pure imagination is. And that's important. So let's look at this, 1943, The Clown. You know, look at it. It's almost as if he's placed himself in this really dark circus. There's this clown in the middle of this place, and you have all of these same kind of symbolic red symbols. And are they taken from Icarus? I think most artists would agree that if you finish a piece of work, there's always a small trace within that last piece of which will give you your melting pot for your next piece. I felt that when I looked at this, there was a sadness, this arena of darkness, an arena of sadness where he was the centerpiece. This ridiculed character, if you like. This slightly maimed character with all of this. I think, I mean, you think about it, and a lot of people never got the cutouts. They thought this was a man who was suffering with delusion, who was madness. But he wasn't, he was completely the opposite. I think he literally could close his eyes and have visions of, symbolic visions of all of these things and place them, which is what the cutouts did. He could drag that from there and place it there. he could just, I don't like it now, I'm going to take it off and put it there. Probably one of my favourite pieces. It's like a New York subway car just flashing past your eyes. What was those colours? What did he say? We don't know, we just saw the colours. And you ask the old lady in New York, what does that great picture say? She goes, I don't know, but the colours were fantastic. I mean, coming to the end of his life, I mean, it was almost like he felt the end. It was coming. Almost death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? But the pain in all of that I think he realised was doing his best work, putting it all together. A little bit like the Queen, the story of the Queen and the 1,001 Nights, of telling the story over and over again so that she could elongate her own life. You could imagine him whittling away in the dead of night with all of that mad energy, just till he's exhausted, elongating his life, wanting to be alive and throw himself into this vision, not painting, his vision. So that he's part of it. Just to elongate his life a little bit more. One more day, one more morning. Don't let me go to sleep. You know, he's getting to the end of it now. One of the end pieces of his work. He's getting there. It's accelerating. The end is coming. And he just decides to do a piece on probably the slowest creature we've ever had, the snail. The snail, I think, is probably the most symbolic piece because it's almost like this massive cutout where he just actually tore into a lot of these pieces and overlaid them. Some had clean lines, some didn't. He just really raw in a way that he made this. Look, you had all of these squares set into this really orange frame, and then he just has this circle. Most symbolic geometric shape of a snail you could ever warrant. You know what I mean? You know, when you look at road signs that say men working or exit or anything else, you could almost look at it like it was just a giant sign that went. This is what I think when I look at a snail. The geometry of a snail. It's simple. The one thing that baffles me about this piece is why is there this distinctive pink piece sticking out? Well, it's not. It's the other way around because the orange is cut against the pink. There's almost like a bigger piece of pink. It's there, and you can just about see it in the corner where it's cut, and it goes up. So he's actually overlaid the orange on top of that. What did he mean by doing that? The irregularity of what he did. But even the way that he overlays these on top of each other on the frame. What was he thinking? It's only my opinion, and it may not stand for anything, but just think about it for a second, which to a snail could be 6 months. I guess we're coming to the end of this Matisse exhibition, and it's been very, very eye-opening to see the work getting bigger and bolder and larger. And in context to his life, you know, he's coming to the end, and there's almost this great floral celebration with his life, I think. Maybe the snail had slowed him down to see that. How many times have you come home with your kid from school and you've picked the kid up and you're rushed in your day and there's a small crumpled piece of art in the child's bag that you take out and you look at it and you almost want to throw it away or discard it. But if you take time to unfold it and iron it and look at it, there's this child's creativity that never left Matisse. You know, when people say, what are we as children? We're all artists as children. All of us. We are all artists as children. And we all create. Matisse never lost sight of that. He actually went back to it, but never let it leave us that this guy was never scared to make new beginnings, new cuts in the paper of society, going straight through what we call the main arteries of what our beliefs are. And that's what's fantastic about Matisse. That even at the very end, he was still this child celebrating life, just growing.